And now, introducing your host, Robert A. Quinn. It's Roberta, you imbecile. Hey, Roberta. I got this. Just forget it. Just have a seat, okay? Roberta. Never learn. I try to get her out of the house and she just won't go anywhere. You see what I have to deal with. I have to deal with these damn people all the time. And I hope I don't have to do this video again, because that was perfect right there, what just happened. Roberta, thank you for volunteering. We want to leave it like that. I don't want to have to do this again, so hopefully I won't babble too much here. But it takes me a little while to get warmed up. So the communication's been pretty strong today. And along with that communication comes quite a high level of anxiety. That helps to breathe, do something physical, get your mind off of all this stuff. Get moving is really important. So movement is very important in salvation. Staying active, touch, extremely important in relieving anxiety here. That's why it's one of the cornerstones of the group work. Contact, catharsis, incredibly important. Creation, having a sense of confidence, staying together with one another, staying in contact so you can be each other's support system through this. Because if we do have to move through levels of fear, which is almost certain that we will have to continue to do that, and things might get scary here, I don't know. It certainly is scary for me, and it's probably, if I resonate with you, it's been scary for you. Why wouldn't it be? You've traded your mind, you've traded your 3D material mind over for salvation mind. That's scary. Salvation mind doesn't know how to function here very well. It's a scary thing. So, I completely sympathize with you, and I want to help you. And that's what the plan is designed to do. It's got to turn that one off too. Try to eat healthy every day. So I just came from pickleball. Pickleball is a fun game, and so that's why my hair is wet. I just got out of the shower and it's snowing today. We haven't had much of a real winter today, so it's nice to get a little bit of snow. People complain about the weather. I just don't understand it. When you live in a place, you live in a home, it's not like you have to go outside and chop wood, tend to the fireplace, not like you have to worry about your water and things like that. But we live in a grid, and if the grid comes loose, we've got ourselves into a big problem here. We basically have, I've heard something like the average person has about 3 to 5 days maybe before they starve to death or something, I don't know. I think most cities in general have about 3 days of food supply. And so obviously that affects the people in the city, and gas, whatever. So if you get, the grid breaks down, if you have your communication grids break down, meaning stuff like the internet, phones, and all that, media, if you have the gas lines break down, if you have food, which affects food distribution, we don't have that much time. So we've gotten ourselves into a situation where we're in some shit. And so there's a lot of interest in food, and anybody that's studied history understands how powerful food has been, and that the United States actually has been really powerful for much of its history prior to getting an enormous army by growing such enormous amounts of food. Anything that gets into the hands of the wrong people is going to be manipulated, and it's going to be imitated, and it's going to become a false, phony thing, and it's going to end up being bad for humanity. The dark forces that manipulate this planet are always trying to affect people in positions of power, trying to influence them. And the way it's always been, the way you got into this world, if you're not a soul, if you're not a volunteer soul, if you came here, you got manipulated into being here. You got manipulated because it seemed like it was a good deal. You saw a bunch of people having fun, doing something that's, okay, it's just fun. But probably you did something that involved inflicting pain on another, drawing blood, drinking blood, whatever. You bowed down to the wrong gods. You didn't know. You got manipulated into doing that. And that's why the volunteers that have come here, we have a lot of compassion, because we see all this suffering. We say, well, you got manipulated. So you have a chance of redemption if you've been manipulated. But once you join with them, and once you start to inflict pain on the rest of the population, your chances of redemption are pretty much zero. Which, and understand, I'm not talking to you factually right now. I'm giving you my best version of the story. So I don't care how much you agree with me or disagree on this. But this is helpful framework. Because ultimately I want to be the practical guy. The guy that offers the practical plan of salvation that actually works. That's what I want to do. But I want to give you the background, the way I see this. Because we all see this in different ways. And most people see this in a way that subscribes to the way that keeps them in prison. Keeps the bars intact. Our free mind, our mind that's in touch with the knowledge of our soul, naturally liberates the planet. But we have to go through these gateways of fear. Now, I was talking about the food supply or something before, but there's a lot of interest right now in healthy eating and taking supplements and taking control of the food supply again, and that's a good trend that we see here. But as it stands now, the grid has made us so dependent on it that to try to disrupt the grid too much is not a good idea. To have any kind of revolution that is really bold and physical is not a good idea. And it wouldn't ever be a good idea, quite frankly, if given the scale that we're operating upon. Given that it's a global thing, that we have a global problem. So if you're in the US with me, it's not a problem about the United States. If you're a global citizen now, we're all connected via the internet, so this is a global problem. You know, you heard about the Marine the other day, or Navy SEAL was it that got killed? I don't know. It was a few weeks ago in Yemen, and it was a big deal. This guy died. Well, he's got a job that kind of puts him in this situation. He went into a place of danger, and he got killed. That shit happens, right, in the military. That shit's going to happen sometime. So what they said on the news that night was that 24 people died in the raid. And that was kind of just like a footnote. This one American dies, a big deal. 24 people over there, well, it's just assumed that they're the enemy. So what does it matter, right? Well, we don't know. You believe that bullshit on TV? I watch the news on a regular basis because I'm interested in how they manipulate people. You know what? I watched the news back to back the other day, the headline news, and I didn't set out with the intention of watching it to count drug commercials, but I started to do that. I don't remember if I started right at the beginning, but I think I counted 5 drug commercials within the hour that I watched the news. So you think the news is going to have something bad about the drug companies? And again, the drug companies, you can't say that they're greedy. Greed does not explain complete lack of humanity. Complete lack of humanity is a scumbagian motivation. It comes from soulless, heartless beings that can allow people to die horrible, horrible deaths and destroy families. To allow people to live in constant fear. That's not greed. If you still think it's greed, you gotta fucking grow up and get this thing working. Get your common sense going. Nobody wants to believe. Nobody sets out with the intention of wanting to believe that the earth is actually in the situation that it is. Nobody wants to believe that. I didn't want to believe that. I went back and forth for a number of years. 1999 was my first experience where I was immersed in these ideas. And while I was immersed in it, it was scary shit. And then I got out of it. I kind of forgot it for a while, but then it came back again. And it keeps coming back. But the whole thing with this, the whole thing about the darkness and realizing the situation that the planet is in, is to understand it fully. To not forget it. So it's in your blood, it's in every cell what situation we're in, how bad the suffering is in this world. Never forget that. It's got to become part of you so that you never forget. Yet, we got to seemingly do the impossible and not focus on it too much. We got to keep our minds, remember what I said, fingers in the sky, toes in the ground. So you never lose in touch with what's going on here. But you're keeping your eyes up on your fingers. Okay? That's where your vision is going. It's going where you want to go. And so we have to focus mostly on creativity and fun, spontaneity, all things good, all things of God. What we have to do is we basically have to mimic the state of heaven. It seems like an impossible thing for us to do, to be in such a horrible situation, but to focus on that. But the plan is the best solution that we have to get this going. And the vision is absolutely essential. I'm going to stop for now.